Hey, good morning to you, Ryan D.I.Y in 4D, and it's D.I.Y Life 4 a.m. Man, if you're awake on this one, good job, at least on the West Coast. So, episode 12, hey, episode 12. If you've been following these type of updates and the 4 a.m. life and what we're doing, 12 is going to be a special number for me. So that's a little cryptic. But so for 12, we have to do the title discipline, as in disciple. You're disciplining yourself. The term disciple means discipline. And that's not an easy thing to do. In each week, it's all about always turning a resolution into an eventual goal. And in that goal, you strive each and every time to reach that victory summit. So we always give the mountain as a summit, but it's a victory. Because if you've been writing it down and then you finally get there, and it's been a long time since you can look at those attainable stats, where let's say you were 20 pounds overweight and you finally reached that benchmark, where it seemed completely impossible to get there. But you're there. So congratulations. And that's really what this week is about discipline. So if you're still, here we are in March 24th, we're almost done with the first quarter of 2023. And so almost 3 months complete into this. And if you try to think about back when you were, in that time, whether it's before January 1 or a week after, and you've been writing or putting down stuff on paper, and there's been times where you had to check back in and see where you're at with it. And now the rubber meets the road, and that's the encouragement from today is to say, am I being disciplined? And that's ultimately it's always about you stepping outside yourself and looking at yourself and saying, okay, how am I doing at this? And that's not an easy thing to do at all. It's totally contrary to most of the things that we would do, is to say, am I self-examining myself, and how's my discipline and what I'm trying to attain? And sometimes that's exciting, and sometimes that can get to that level of depressing because you're not seeing results. And so there's lots of motivational books. There's lots of things out there that have already been proven to get there. And now, you may have read all those books and you're doing every single thing you can, but yet you're still struggling in it. And so I've kind of staggered these things because there's going to be times in there where we are trying to do something and it's more of a long range is the way to look at it. You're expecting a result in 3 months when realistically we haven't really, compared that with what's the average or how somebody else, like a strength coach and a mentor, would say, well, hey, statistically that number is like around the 6 or 9 month mark. See, that's where those types of things come in, because we're not seeing that, or we didn't know about that. And that's where another part of discipline comes in, is you want to stay disciplined and organize your stuff into those realistic, attainable measures. And so if you're on a 30-pound, I'm giving these examples, a 30-pound reduction to a certain benchmark, and you're 3 months into this, and it's only 5 pounds or 10 pounds tops, and you've struggled going up and down. Well, there's lots of reasons, but this is where you can come in and say, how disciplined am I in that? You maybe want to talk to somebody that's an expert in it, or you're at the gym, so they have tons of people to help you in that. And so it's more of it's okay. You're maybe trying to press and put pressure on yourself, which is another reason that your body is fighting back the other way. instead of looking at it like, oh, okay, so I'm on a 9-month course instead of the summer where or I want my beach body. And now you take pressure off of yourself and you start enjoying those steps. You see, this is where discipline comes in, because the word itself requires you to keep that on the forefront. How disciplined am I on my sleep, my eating? There's so many parameters to those goals. And that's why that word finally comes in now, about being realistic about how disciplined you really are on what you're trying to do. So I hope that encourages you. It's really always, these updates are taking a step back and looking. They're not about like, hey, I'm watching this and I gain, sometimes you get some nuggets or a download from it, and awesome. But these updates are more like a meeting, which turns into a book. But it's like each chapter is like a little tiny meeting for yourself. It's that inner dialogue. I'm a born again Christian. I love Jesus. So my meetings with him are prayer time. Whether I'm walking my dog or out hiking, those are meeting times like this. And that's kind of what we're talking about is you yourself need your own meeting time with yourself about looking in your disciplined schedule of what you're doing. And so one little resolution that eventually turns into a goal is trying to get into that discipline process of doing that. And that ultimately is a healthy thing, because you get used to listening to yourself. You get used to taking a step back and looking at some of your actions. That's a healthy thing. And you end up being, hopefully, we say better human. I want to be the best husband that I can. I want to be the best father, son, uncle, brother, friend. See, these are all titles, but ultimately, if I keep doing these things and plug away at them, then yeah, I can start attaining that realistic measure of what we're talking about. So I hope that encourages you today. Remember out there, hey, take it easy on yourself. One day at a time, one impossible task at a time. Celebrate it. Take care. God bless. Be safe.